This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Last night I got a chance to gig this. I was playing a wedding in Tor Point-ish, if you know where that is, in Devon. A long drive, and I took the Tamar Bridge back, which cost me £2.60. Facts. Anyway, so I wanted to give like a little bit of an update on the guitar, because I was really impressed with this guitar playing it at home. And yeah, I don't know if I had it for a month or two now. And this one I bought from Peach Guitars. I also bought another PRS 594 from Peach Guitars. And I think if you're going to buy a PRS in the UK, Peach might be one of the better places to get them. I bought another 594 from Rideys, which had a dodgy fret. I'm still waiting for a refund from that one. Anyway, so now, this is going to sound a little bit strange, but I'm starting to find this guitar a little bit too easy to play. It has taller frets than usual, and that gives it, like, if you press down too hard on the string, so if you play with like a little bit of excess pressure, you can find that you're kind of pulling things out of tune a little bit. I think a little bit like what might happen if you had a scalloped fretboard. Obviously not to that extent, but in any case, you've got these taller frets. It really does play very easily, kind of like an effortless sort of feel to it. I don't remember feeling too many guitars that play like this, to be honest with you. But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a Strat or a Les Paul to play, and although sort of aesthetically it's in between those two, and maybe tonally as well it might be somewhere in between those two, I think to play it is a lot more refined feeling than either of those styles of guitar. And yeah, for me, playing it live, it was at some points like a little bit, as I say, too easy to play. And again this morning, a bit like I was potentially looking for the guitar to fight with me a bit more. yeah, very strange thing to say. But another thing which catches me out, I have to say actually, it's really quite a nice lightweight guitar to play live as well. And I was able to carry both of the guitars. I took both PRSs in these cases and carry both of them in one hand, and it's still probably lighter than a Les Paul in a case. So from that point of view, really great. Yeah, this here catches me out a lot because it's kind of, when you're playing, it's out of eyesight, but your picking hand is like here, and as you're standing up, you can't even really see where this is. So I think you'd have to really get to know the guitar quite well, and maybe put in quite a bit of time before you start to get to know sort of the ergonomics of the guitar. It's quite a different thing. Obviously, as a Strat player, I'm used to being sort of down here for my pickup selection. Similarly, with a Les Paul, going up here and changing pickup selection kind of catches me off guard. It's not necessarily like a negative, but it just means that I'm not necessarily able to deliver quite as slickly with this guitar as I would be with an S-type guitar, or with a guitar with the pickup selector in the place that my hand is naturally going to grab it. When I first tuned it up and then started playing, I think it was quite a warm kind of hall that we were playing in. We were playing Sweet Home Alabama, and after the first kind of solo, there were a few bends, and then I kind of looked at Ash the drummer, and suddenly things were not so in tune. So I kind of quickly tuned mid-song. So tuning stability has not been an issue at home. It was for the first time yesterday. You're not hugely, but once I tuned it up and then let it settle a bit more, it kind of came back into where I wanted it to be. But it is a floating trem, so from that point of view, tuning can take a little bit more, nuance than on like a normal kind of blocked trem, or even, of course, a hardtail. What I found in the Floyd Rose world, and I should have thought about this yesterday, was that I used to tune, because those are floating trems, you tune the outer strings first and kind of go E, E, A, B, D, G in that way, and that way you don't get like the thing kind of getting pulled about too much. I should have remembered that last night and tried that. Anyway, it wasn't a problem once it had settled down a little bit, but I think maybe traveling in the car, then sudden heat and all that sort of stuff might not have helped particularly. The neck feels incredibly comfortable. This is sort of, I don't know, I think this to me feels like the most comfortable PRS neck that there could be. It's not chunky, but it's not thin. There's kind of nothing flat feeling about it. It just feels to me like something like a 50s Les Paul style neck, maybe a little bit slimmer, but it has a great feel to it. The fret job on this is perfect. The other kind of thing that yesterday, and I don't know if this was venue dependent more than anything else, but I was finding the neck pickup to be a little bit on the darker side. And I'm not exactly sure why that was. But as I said, I think it could have been the venue. It wasn't the best venue for sound, to be honest. But playing wise, fantastic. I'm just going to show you now, if I can, what happens in terms of going between the coil split. Because again, I think generally the coil split has been a bit quiet. So I think going forward, I would opt to put probably a compressor in the chain to sort of equalize some of these slight issues. The other kind of thing for me, as you'll know as a PRS DGT connoisseur that you might be, the first volume control controls this, the bridge pickup, and the second one controls this, the neck pickup. Now for me, that's still not something I'm fully getting to grips with. So it's this part of the guitar here is really what I need to get to grips with if it's going to be something that I would gig going forwards. But in general, very good. I'll just show you some tones. It really does do everything pretty well. It's not necessarily, I just think there's not really a genre that you couldn't particularly cover with this. So kind of the neck pickup. If I split it, so I think maybe this neck pickup I was finding didn't have necessarily quite as much clarity as I would have liked. Yeah. I don't know whether they're maybe slightly hot pickups, but in between. Kind of does. So overall, I think that's my verdict. An incredibly easy to play guitar, maybe even too easy for me on the gig, where I think sometimes I like to have the guitar to have a little bit of fight. So normally I might be playing like a Strat or a Les Paul. I need to get to grips with this control configuration still. And I think that would probably be the case for most folks. I know there are a bunch of people out there that really love the DGT, but let me know in the comments if it took you a while to get used to that configuration, or maybe even some of you have kind of changed things to be more traditional. This positioning of the pickup selector is the biggest issue for me because, as I say, when I cover that hand, that gets kind of obscured. By the way, at the moment there is already a deal on TrueFire for $99 for all access pass for the year, but with the code JNC100 you can basically get that all year round anyway. So maybe if you don't have the money for that right now, just remember that the JNC100 code can be used to get the $100 off of the all access pass basically all times of the year. And my favorite things on there are kind of Tim Miller, Alan Hines, Robin Ford. There's loads of really good stuff for you acoustic guys. There's Tommy Emmanuel, Mike Dawes, Martin Taylor for your jazz stuff. Also next month I'm going to be running, instead of TrueFire, basically part of the TrueFire company, TrueFire Studios, they also have Artist Works, which is a slightly different model. So next month I'm going to tell you some more about that because they've asked if I could talk about that instead. So the pre-rolls will be for Artist Works, but remember that the TrueFire stuff is still going to be running in the background. I think it's just they want to get the word out about Artist Works for a bit. So I'm going to check out some of that stuff. Basically some of the same tutors are on there, but slightly different courses. So there's more songs from Martin Taylor. That was the first thing I looked at. So I'll chat to you more about that next month. But the code JNC40 for 40% off any course, or JNC100 for $100 off of the all access pass.